Hello, good afternoon. Most of you have asked me what exactly is considered as a rent. I know you guys get money from a lot of different sources. Sometimes you have to pay back to your tenant or to a lot of different companies. So what exactly is considered as a rent? So today in another couple of minutes I'm going to cover what is rent and what is not considered as a rent in the state of Minnesota. So, as we all know, I have prepared something for you here. It's basically from our Minnesota website. So, rent is the amount paid for the right to occupy a rental unit as the renter's principal residence. So, even if that amount is not stated in a rental agreement, that amount, if they're paying, if they're giving you money, that's considered as a rent. Now, what is actually in the rent and what is not considered as a rent, right? So let's look at the list. So, what is considered as a rent? If you get money through any kind of medical assistance or from any Minnesota housing support or vendor payments received from the state or county, that is rent. If you are taking some money, getting some money for a garage, parking space, or storage locker provided as part of rental agreement, if it is in the agreement, that's a rent. For utilities or pets, if included as part of the rent. So if you said, okay, you pay me $2,000, and that's you can have two dogs, so that's a rent. Okay, the $2,000 that you are getting is a rent. For utilities or pets, okay, that we covered. And by the city due to relocation, if you got received any money from city due to any kind of relocation, that's a rent. And by the Department of Employment and Economic Security Services for the Blind, if you got any money from this department, that's considered as a rent. Now, what is not a rent? Damage deposit. So if your tenants have damaged your property and you got the money, then that's not a rent. And remember, here when you receive the deposit, you don't have to show it in your CRP. That's not a rent. If you are adjusting that amount towards the end of the lease and using this amount for their last month's payment, then you have to show it as a rent. Late charges or fees. This is a good one. If you are collecting any late charge or any fee from your tenant, then that's a fee means like credit card payment 3.5% or any kind of app they are using and they have to pay extra money for that. Those kind of things are not rent. Now, rent paid after December 31st, 2024 means this is just for the CRP that you have to submit in another 8 days. So if they paid any money after December 31st, that's not a rent. Utility is if paid separately from rent. So suppose your rent is $2,000 and water is included, then that's rent. If their rent is $1,900 and they are paying $100 towards water, then that's not a rent. Okay, there is a difference. Emergency rental assistance, including but not limited to COVID-19 emergency rental assistance. You remember during COVID, we used to get all kind of assistance for our tenants. They used to go and get it approved from somebody, and you used to get the payments. So those were not, if that is one time just for emergency purpose, that's not considered as a rent. Now, rent paid by federal government, housing agency, or federal programs such as Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program or HUD rent paid by charitable organizations, that's also not a rent. Okay, you don't have to show it in your CRP because your tenants have not paid it to you. Okay, there is a difference. You still have to show it as an income. That's a question for your CPA. But uh, did your tenant pay it to you? No. So that's not a rent. And rent paid by persons not living in the unit, that's also not considered as a rent. So you have a kid living in your house and her relatives are paying in Minnesota, that's not considered as a rent. You don't have to send CRP to your tenant for that. If somebody else is paying, who knows, that other guy is already showing it in their taxes. Now, charges for medical services, any kind of medical service charges, that's not a rent. Then charges for food, laundry, or other amenities not provided as part of the rental agreement. If you charged anything for food, or if they're living in your house using any amenities like your gym, $40 a month, that's not a rent. The value of free rent provided as an incentive to rent the unit, a garage, or separate structure not provided as part of the rental agreement. So that's also not a rent. Means you are giving them a month free and you are showing them as if like that they paid for $2,000 in the month of January, but actually you gave them a free deal. Then you don't have to include it in your CRP. And the last one is rent paid for farmland. Any rent paid for farmland is not considered as a rent. So, in short, this is the list of items which you should be considering while you create your CRP, and you should provide the numbers and the document to your tenant based on what we just discussed. If you have any more questions, you can always call me. Some of you have called me. You can text me, email me, or you can go to your any of revenue of Minnesota website and you can find more information about it. Make sure, if possible, please like and subscribe and share my videos so I get motivated and I can make more and more videos for you guys. Thank you.